Okay. Simon says he won't be a slave to the system anymore. Ajitokeze apene mpesa number, we stand with him. Kinyo Mutuga says tumweke CS interior. Now this is the high time, of course. Tony Zablon says we must cleanse our nation. We must drain the whole swamp. Thy shall dirt be cleansed. Isaac says, why did they sack the killer policeman? Captured more than twice, shooting aimlessly. Of course. And Christabel Viremo says the patriotic ones are held accountable shortly, while the killer cops are walking free. We'll never forget. Gadoro says, isn't he a Kenyan first before a police officer? Don't police officers have the right to exercise their freedoms? Our police force is a prison of thought and freedoms. In Betrayal in the City, the outside of a cell is the inside of another. Because I did that book. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that particular feedback. Of course, Kenyans, they are, seems to be in agreement with Shakur here. They seem to be fighting for the same thing. Let me come back to what we are talking about there. And this has to be people taking to the streets today. Let me come to you because you're one of the people that is, rightfully advocating for what you believe is better governance and good change in this country. To what end do we do this? Okay,
let me come back to Mheshimiwa. First of all, we don't want to burn this country down. First for me, I'm in full support of what the president is doing. And I think we are just on the right track. And as Mheshimiwa has spoken about the integrity of some CS who are there, I don't think that sacking someone is enough. I think people should be charged. People should be accountable for what they have done. And people who, even the police, should be charged. Yeah, that's where we are heading. And I think we are just on a good track. We appreciate what the president has done, and I think he should listen to us more. Okay. Yeah, there are still some issues that we want. Like for example,
do you believe the latest actions amount to him listening to the people?
Yeah.
Do you believe that his latest actions, as far as rejecting the finance bill, dissolution of the cabinet, equal to him paying attention to what the people are saying?
Yes. I think he's doing a good job, but he should listen to us more. Yes.
Okay. To what end should this happen?
Thank you so much, Brian. I really don't know to what extent my friend wants the president to listen to. Because as far as I'm concerned, I fully support the kind of conversation that our younger brothers and sisters, the Gen Zs, started in the country. And of course, we have gotten to a place where we are all in agreement that we need to enhance accountability, we need to be transparent, and most importantly, we need to listen to each other and talk to each other, not at each other. And the president has demonstrated that in act and deed. First, by accepting an invitation by the Gen Zs on the X space and freely interacting with them and obtaining feedback on what areas and aspects of governance that needed to be looked at. And one of the key areas that came out so strongly was that, number one, we need to ensure that we are living within our means so that we can have a sustainable economy, not just for the present, but also for the future. The other thing that came through during the conversation was that Kenyans had lost faith in certain aspects of leadership, and especially the cabinet. And the president has taken a very, very bold step by dissolution of the cabinet. And what is the commitment that he is giving to Kenyans? That going forward, he is shopping around for a team that will enable and support him in delivering the promises he made to Kenyans when he was looking for their votes. So those are already good steps towards the right direction.
All right.
But again, having said that, I also want to really caution all of us that let us not allow this kind of important discussions to be hijacked by people who have ulterior motives. Let us not allow ourselves to be used by certain people who want to pursue a particular goal or political agenda in the country. What we want and what we are looking forward to is a peaceful country that will enable all of us, regardless of our social status and status, thrive and give back to the communities where we come from.
Do you believe the struggle that the young people started in this country has been hijacked, just like you put it? We should not allow some people to hijack the process itself.
Yes, I believe so much that the initial conversation that was started by our younger generation was hijacked at some point by people who are pursuing their own selfish ends. When the agitation against the finance bill started, we could see very, very peaceful young people on the streets, communicating, passing their messages across the social media, speaking to the press very, very eloquently, and highlighting the issues that needed to be changed. And of course, even though some of our constituents have accused us for voting for the finance bill, what most of them don't understand is that by the time we were bringing the finance bill to the floor of the House, 90% or more of the contentious issues had been addressed. But that message did not go out there. Of course, maybe there was an issue with the communication from our side, but again, there was also a lot of miscommunication and propaganda being spread by certain elements within our society just to ensure that the whole agenda of the finance bill had taken a different direction.
Okay.
And of course, having said that, we listened to Kenyans and we have accepted that that is now water under the bridge. Let us forge ahead and build a country that is peaceful and cohesive.
Talking about listening to Kenyans, of course, there were dialogues that were supposed to be happening yesterday. These dialogues are, kind of, instead of uniting different quarters, they seem to have brought much division. The nation's youngest population says we are not getting into having a dialogue. What we want is, more of action. Most of the things that you are demanding for are not things that we need to sit down and discuss. They're things that you need to just stand up and act on them. And the opposition, of course, had actually pronounced itself early and said that we have agreed that, we are going to sit down. But yesterday, things have taken a different direction. So we seem to be making a step and at the same time not making a step. So where do we go with this one? There's no dialogue at the end of, up to now. It's supposed to have started yesterday.
Thank you, ma'am. But my look at things is that there's no problem with dialogue. But you see, what is the end result of the dialogue? Because the sector or the people who came with the issue that is being discussed right now are the Gen Zs. And I think their grievances, most of them are valid. So the focus should be on Gen Zs. Having a discussion with political giants, because any government in place is driven by politics. And in politics, you have to seek for like minds, because everyone is looking at Kenya as a country that is a safe haven. So for us, or for the opposition, us as KK and opposition, I think we are doing a great thing to sit down and pollinate our ideas so that we can come with solutions that are going to be beneficiary to the people, most of the Gen Zs. Okay. It doesn't mean that having opposition and government engaging is that they want to share power. These are speculations, these are issues which have come out. But my thinking is that the president's focus is to listen to the Gen Zs so that they can be able to listen to one another. Because we need to listen to the president, and also the president needs to listen to us,
to the people, so
that we can agree, because the move is bold and he has made a positive move, and I applaud him for that.
All right. Let me come to you. Dialogue or not, the conversation around this particular demonstrations. People, the head of state has welcomed the youngest generation to come to the table and have these particular conversations. But it has been a little bit shaky, because now Gen Z say we didn't ask for dialogue. We do not want that. We don't want to shake hands. We just want actions and all that. You are belong in this particular category. What's your take on that? Should we sit down?
I think the young people don't want dialogue. They just want change. Because when it comes to dialogue, there are so many people in government and who are only there for their selfish needs. Okay. They are not in there for the people of Kenya. Yeah.
So
we just want changes to happen. Changes like, for example, the young people, we don't want the incoming CSs to be politicians. Because it will come to again back to the point of integrity.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we just want change to be made.
Okay. Yeah. So let me come to you. You see.
No, you know, I'm laughing because I don't know why our friend doesn't wish some of us well here. We have Honorable Mashetani here, who is a very, very serious Kenyan, despite the fact that he's a politician and has served in the National Assembly for long. He's very eligible if he fits all the aspects and requirements of Chapter 6 on integrity and governance. Nothing should stop any Kenyan from assuming any office that he is competent and capable of servicing the country.
If you still do the same thing and put their CS, it won't stop. It's just a matter of listening.
What will not stop?
If the politician came back to and hold the offices of the CS, I don't think the
But you see, if you look at all the jurisdictions, if you look at all proper matured democracies, you'll find that ministers or CSs, all of them are politicians. Because look at it this way, a minister has a PS who is a technocrat. A minister is supposed to communicate information from the executive to the citizens. So he has to have that wisdom, he has to have that capacity to be able to communicate. You know, communication is not for everyone. Look at what has happened. There was breakdown of communication. That's why we found ourselves where we are in the finance bill. Okay, the finance bill was okay.
Maybe the fear is...
And why do we demonize members of parliament or elected leaders? They are Kenyans. We have leaders who are well educated. We have leaders who have the capacity, the capabilities. In politics, as I said, I usually say that politics or being a politician, that is an occupation. Anyone can get into politics, but it doesn't mean you lose your profession. We have so many members of parliament who come from the corporate world. Members of parliament who are CEOs, some of them were government officers. They have come into politics because they want to serve their people. It doesn't mean when you lose a seat, you become absolute. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Every Kenyan has a right. The Gen Zs do have a right, and also those who have been in politics have right to be members of the cabinet. Because I don't find it to be, you know, we have generational change. We have the Gen Z, us we are the Generation X, and we have the millennial in between who are Y and the ones who are Z. This has to be a shared and transferred responsibility when it comes to democracy and governance. You need to learn before you become, before you acquire the aspect of being able to deliver what is supposed to be delivered. Okay,
so what should the next cabinet then look like? Because you see, we have a generation here that says the next cabinet should not include politicians because we don't want the political class in the cabinet. Then we have...
Let me ask you, the president has an agenda. Because apart from trying to solve what is happening, he's also looking at the 2027 election. He needs politicians, he needs loyal people to be able to sell his agenda. Because how do you sell an agenda of a person that you don't have trust in? How do you sell an agenda with a person that you have no faith in? First of all, you need...
Does that have to be a politician though?
Yes. How would you know one is loyal? How would you know? It doesn't have to be. He has to bring up a balance.
If we go about the aspect of loyalty, are we not risking, you know, just rewarding positions and looking for people that are loyal to you, but to some extent not competent enough to do the job?
No. The president has a lot of preferences. When you look for loyalists, he has loyalists who are competent. Okay. He has loyalists who are educated.
That do not
when you look at the other side of regional balance, he has people who are qualified. If you look at the Gen Zs, there are those who are qualified, but he has to strike a balance. You have to balance. You cannot have as they are saying, you cannot have, my thinking is that a CS is one who communicates.
Okay.
If you tell me you'll just pick one from corporate or from Gen Zs, all of them, then I think my thinking is different. Maybe when it comes to democracy, I think it is upon the president. But my take...
the issue of loyalty, I think, is what has gotten some people here, because you see, and we did mention in terms of the cabinet that has just been dissolved, there's some people that were argued to have not passed the bill when it comes to issues to do with integrity, and they did not get to fit. But because they were loyal, just like we're putting it, they were able to get the job.
I'm saying there are those who are loyal and they have integrity. Okay. There are those who are loyal and they're competent. Those who are loyal, they have the academic qualifications. Okay. I mean, loyalty is part of it, because there are so many factors which enable a president or any person to choose the people that he wants to serve it. Okay. First thing first, you have to have people who believe in your agenda. Mm-hmm. Because how do you sell an agenda if you don't believe in it? Mm-hmm. Those are people that we have interacted with. If it's not about interaction, then there is an opportunity for Gen Z. There are Gen Zs who are connected to the president also. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean the president doesn't have friends. We all have friends who are Gen Zs. Okay. We communicate with them, we talk to them. And this is something that, okay, fine. It is unbelievable when you say that he should not look for loyalists, he should not look, okay. The capacity that comes with loyalty is all the same.
Okay. Let me come to you. And this has to do with the cabinet was dissolved, but we left the seat of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. And at some extent, some people have been feeling, okay, this has to be declared unconstitutional. We do not want this particular seat. And also, when it comes to dissolving the cabinet, this should not have remained. What's your take on that? Let's start with that.
Okay, first, I don't know what unconstitutional the seat of the Prime Cabinet Secretary is about, because number one, the Cabinet Secretary is a cabinet, the Prime Cabinet Secretary is a cabinet secretary with added responsibilities of assisting the president in coordination of government. Then, number two, the occupier of that seat is a seasoned Kenyan who went through a vetting process through Parliament as enshrined within our Constitution. It fits the Chapter 6 prerequisite for integrity and other aspects of competence, and also having had the requisite experience of holding higher office in the country. So I think those are just normal political statements that are made by people who wish to pursue a particular agenda. That is my answer to that. In terms of my expectations on what I expect to see from His Excellency the Head of State, number one, I want to tell His Excellency the President that he has got the prerogative to choose whoever he wants to work with, because we have given him a mandate. And I know at the end of our first 5-year term, Kenyans will be looking at how far we have gone with delivering the promises we made during campaign. And therefore, he needs to be given a free hand to choose a team that will enable him pursue the agenda of delivering service to Kenyans. But of course, as expected from all of us, we are looking forward to a team that, number one, is ethics-based. Okay. A team that has integrity, a team that has no blemish, especially on matters corruption, which seems to be the biggest problem that we have in the country. Okay. Then number two, we expect to have a team that reflects the face of the country. And I know the President has already made a commitment to that fact by committing that he is going to craft a cabinet that is broad-based. Then, of course, we will also be very keen on matters gender. We will need to ensure that the gender is balanced, and the President has been a very, very key supporter of our women gender. We hope that it will be given. Then finally, on the same, as a youth also, I am somewhere in between Gen Z and millennia, but I want to associate more with Gen Zs because we have an agenda for the country. We have an agenda for this country. We expect to have at least young men and young girls in that cabinet who are competent to help our boss drive the
Do you
agenda
believe
of
the previous
country.
cabinet had all these things that you mentioned in terms of, face of the country, issues to do with the didn't have any blemish, so that they supported the president in its agenda, and the gender balance aspect of it. So did we, as you answer that, did he get it wrong in the first cabinet?
I don't want to say he got it wrong. You know, it was the first time he was becoming president. He had not been president before. So let us give the president the benefit of doubt. Mm-hmm. He gave a team an opportunity to prove themselves. And of course, there are those who have excelled. In as much as the president dissolved and disbanded the entire cabinet, it doesn't mean they're all failures. Okay. In that cabinet that we had, we still have very, very competent Kenyans who delivered their mandate.
Good. My question is, with what you are listing down as what should be the next phase of the new cabinet, the previous cabinet seems not to have fit that particular bill.
I have said it is not the entire cabinet, so let us not do blanket condemnation. There are people who excelled in service delivery, and of course there are people that we all know fell far below the expectation of Kenyans, fell far below the expectations of the president. It's not my purview to name and shame people.
No, it's just about telling the truth.
We know there are people.
So what's your truth, Jackson, as I want to take a little bit of feedback?
I think he's not doing the right thing. If he's saying there are some incompetent CAS, he should be able to name them. Like, say the truth, start with your truth. Yeah, say like you are this and this and this. Didn't do their job.
It's not a blanket condemnation.
If they were still in office, I would have named them. But they're already at home. Why would I want people who are already at home?
Did you name them when they
and
were still in office?
And I want to put it categorically clear, my friend, that I'm one of the members of parliament who has always stood up when called upon to...
Stooding up means saying the truth.
Don't interrupt us. We need to have a connected conversation. Yes. You'll get an opportunity for a rejoinder. I'm one of the members of parliament who has stood up for whatever that is right whenever names are brought to the house in terms of vetting. You remember during the vetting of ambassadors, I actually came out very strongly during our committee vetting exercise to reject one of the candidates who was being posted to DRC because I felt that he was not the right fit for the job. So we are not just rubber stampers. And majority of us in parliament are very, very keen and critical. And because you have pushed me to name some of the people I was uncomfortable with in cabinet, I will also say that I am among the members of parliament who were first in putting their signatures down for the impeachment of the former CS of Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, on account of the mess we had in the delivery of fertilizer to our farmers. So we're doing our job and we're very focused. All we want is to support the president to do the right thing because we know he means well for the country. Okay,
so doing your job, like somebody will argue, you need to do more. Do we need to do more? I want to take feedback here. I'll come back to you as we wind up on this conversation. Let's take a look at what you're saying as far as this conversation is concerned. Mohammed Salim says Gen Z need mentorship. The demos have run their course. They should now take up other avenues in keeping the government on check. Patience Nyangi says anyone who will be on the streets today is a hired goon or paid by someone to start violence in the country. This is not a Gen Z demo, but a financed political demo. Ivan says Gen Z planned demonstrations has lost its sense and silent majority are condemning it because there's no genuine reason for demos. Kenyans are tired of useless picketing and destruction of people's businesses. Gitobu Eric says, I am always a pro-protest individual, but I can smell a rat. The demos have switched from sincere and genuine Gen Z-focused demos to opportunistic sponsored demos. I call a spade a spade. These demos are not on track. All right, Nathaniel Tesso says, after 25th June, the Kenyan Gen Z demos were infiltrated by politicians, thieves, armed robbers, anarchists, and perpetuators of impunity. That infiltration is not going to end, especially when all planning is done openly and everyone knows when, where, and how. All right, I do want to close this, but I'm giving you 30 seconds each for your final remarks on this particular conversation, and of course, what is we're expecting today in the nation. Let me start with you, Frank.
Thank you so much. Mine is to urge each and every Kenyan to exercise peace in whichever way and form from wherever we are. Let us not allow ourselves, let us not allow our children to be used by people who want to profiteer out of their sweat, out of their blood, by causing anarchy and confusion in the country. Even if we differ politically, let us embrace dialogue, let us look for ways and means through which we can discuss all the issues and aspects that needs to be addressed as a country.
Okay. Jackson, let me come to you. 30 seconds. Pressure increases or decreases?
I just want to tell the buddies, viva.
Okay, Mesh, let me come to you.
Thank you, Brahma. My emphasis would be that let us all be patriotic, because we have a Kenya we have been given this Kenya for the past 60 years. And with the actions that are going on, I think we should look at the benefits. Already we are seeing the benefits coming in, so we should seize and ensure that we are doing the right thing at the right time.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. I really do appreciate that. I don't take it for granted. And of course, this has been New Dawn. Thank you so much for your feedback and making time for this conversation here on K24 this morning. Having a conversation about sustained calls for accountability in the country, with the nation's youngest generation vowing to continue with the protest. Of course, the coverage continues here this day when we expect people to be taking to the streets to call for accountability from the head of state. A day when also there have been calls when it comes to issues to do with dialogue, people coming to sit down together to find a solution as far as the future of the nation is concerned. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more coverage on this particular day. My name is Brian Amwai.